Welcome back, everyone, to Youth in the Loop. We took a short break, but we're officially back. Youth in the Loop, it is a talk show geared at youth for the youth. Youth expressing themselves in controversial issues. I am your host, Philippa Dixon Lamey, and my co-host, Norris Kimball. On our panel today, we have our young people. We have Samantha, we have Kathleen, and we have Japheth. Today, we will be discussing the silent struggle. This refers to internal emotional pain or mental illness that individuals often hide due to fear, stigma, shame, or the belief that they must be strong and self-reliant. These invisible battles can include depression masked by a smile, anxiety hidden behind high achievement or perfectionism, loneliness in crowded spaces, and exhaustion from pretending everything is okay. Often people do not speak or seek help until the pain becomes unbearable. They carry on with work, relationships, and responsibilities while privately suffering. Can you imagine that? Sometimes for months or even years. This prolonged silent struggle can eventually lead to a full-blown mental crisis. Wow, this is serious business. Now, Norris, you will start out with the discussion.
Ah, that is great. I'm happy. I want to get inside the young people's mind to see.
Mhm.
Number one, I realize that all struggles you may not want to say verbally, and that's fine. That's okay. So if you have a struggle that you want to share, you
Mhm.
can. If you don't want to share it, that's fine as well. And you can share maybe somebody had that struggle. But I want to know, my very first one is what is a struggle you have faced that you have shared with many people, and why was it hard to talk about? So that's actually two questions. What is the struggle you have faced that you haven't shared with many people? One, and why is it so hard to talk about?
Okay, so I guess I can start off. So for me, what I would say is that a struggle that I had personally was actually depression, especially in my teenager years. So what would happen is that sometimes I would look at my past mistakes and think that, hey, I shouldn't be going down this path. The choices that I made shouldn't be like this because obviously I'm a Christian. I should be in church. I should be doing the right things. But it's like when I mess up and do mistakes, it's like I look back at my past mistakes and just feel a whole wave of emotions. I feel depressed, I feel sad, I feel like I'm underachieving. And the reason why I don't really share it is because, I mean, I'm a guy. And as men and young men, we're taught not to really express our feelings because if you do, you're seen as either soft or weak. So whenever I have these feelings of depression or anxiety, I just bottle it up and suck it up because, quote unquote, in society, as a man, you should just suck it up. So that's my
Okay,
two
you know that
cents.
that that is interesting. Let me interject here. Let me interject. As a man, if you're suffering with some form of struggle, we are expected to maybe internalize it and not show that we are struggling with that whatever it is, that addiction or whatever it may be. But we realize that is wrong. That is incorrect. In fact, we have at Coconut Grove another um, discussion, Men with the Mission. And when you watch that Men with the Mission, you find out that men, we have to express ourselves just like a woman express herself as well. So, but let me ask you this question. I want to get into the church now. So it's hard for a male, I say a man, to disclose his struggles. And I even want to introduce the women into this now. Is it hard because the church expects so much of you? That's one. And also, how do you feel if your struggle ended up in a prayer group or on the church prayer line?
Um, okay, I'll answer. Do you want me to also answer the first question as well, or this is a new question? So I wanted to answer the first
No,
question.
no, this is new. This is new.
This is a new
Yeah, this is,
question?
I mean, if you want to, you can, but yeah.
Okay, I'll answer the question that you just stated. I would say that the pressure of being a young woman growing up in the church is, I would say it's cultural based. I wouldn't say it's religion based because I think the when you're brought up a certain way and everything is considered subjective. So what is right in their eyes is automatically right in my eyes. It should be right in my eyes as well. And what's wrong to them should be wrong to me as well. So therefore they take the time to say, oh, you should be doing this and this and this. And instead of trying to teach us, they just demonize women for it, and sometimes it could just be a subtle mistake, but they don't know how to teach young women how to deal with the things that they're probably doing unintentionally. And when now we are traumatized, we just know how to react and not how to respond. So now we just have to end up learning everything on our own and doing everything on our own without the help of them because they didn't know better. So I feel like it just comes from what they've experienced and what they know in the world that they have to endure, and they just project it onto us without actually understanding what's actually currently happening. And whatever they think, I think is just
Well,
based
you
on
know,
their projecting.
now I like what you said, and I know sometimes the church, we want to come off, we care about what you're going through. I would say that we want to come off and as we care about what you're going through. And sometimes if you share your struggle with maybe another brother or a sister or maybe a leader in a church, how do you feel if they introduce that struggle without your permission and they share it on the prayer line? Would that cause you to close up in the future, or is that okay?
It's neither. I wouldn't be upset with first of all, I have to take accountability because I opened up my mouth and I shared something vulnerable with you. I didn't indicate if it was a
Hmm.
secret or not. But like I said, by the end of
Okay.
the day, if I decide to share something with you and be vulnerable with you, and you took it upon yourself to share my business, regardless of me putting up that boundary, that shows a lot about your character, not much about me because I trusted you. Now I should have just not
Okay.
trusted you at all. But what does that say about me as a person? I know I'm a people person, and I will look at you sideways regardless. And you can't hurt me with something that I have already expressed, that I already accepted. If I was, I already saw on this panel multiple times I was sexually assaulted, and it took me a while to able to speak on it freely. So you can't hurt me with my own truth. Look at Mary Magdalene. I'm pretty sure that you can't hurt her with her own truth because she already did it. You can't hurt me with my own demons that I already took accountability for, that I already took with God. So if you want to hurt me with my
O-
own stuff, that shows a lot about you. So I think it's the person, not necessarily me.
Okay, before I pass it back over to Madam, I want to hear what Kathleen and Mr. Hamilton have to say about this. How would you feel if you shared a struggle with a friend in a church or even a leader, and your struggle ended up on the prayer line? How would you feel?
I think personally for me, it's a little bit of like half of it would be I would be a bit frustrated because personally I find it like, okay, this is my struggle that I chose to share with you. And regardless on if you feel like, okay, it's important I share it with other people, but it's about me, it's my
Okay.
personal information. The way how I tend to operate, and I've always said this with all of my friends, family, whoever, is that whatever is discussed with me and that other person is between the two of us, unless if they want me to share it with other people. But that's how I operate. And I understand that
Right.
not everyone feels the same way. Now, with that in mind, at the end of the day, while I would feel a bit frustrated, but I also think like, okay, if they say like, okay, let's just keep in mind, I guess it depends on how much they share. Like if they're like, okay, let's just keep in mind that Kathleen is going through certain things, let's keep her in prayer versus like telling everything, like the full detail, the whole entire story, then
Okay.
I wouldn't I wouldn't be too upset about that. I would just be like, okay, well, next time, please
Okay.
ask me first.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they told everything, including like everything that I've shared, I would find a bit of
Hmm.
issue with that for sure. I just think that's
Great,
important
great.
to always ask first, because
Correct.
consent, at the end of the day, it has to do with consent. And if that person is comfortable with sharing that with other people, then you have to ask them first to find out.
Okay, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think there is a stipulation in a psychology realm that if a psychologist went behind their person's back that they're dealing with
Mhm.
and share their personal business, that's a violation.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, that's how I would see it, honestly. If I share something that's on my heart,
Hmm.
and you went ahead and not only share it, but also call my name and then share it as well, I would feel violated because it's like I trusted you. Well, if it's a guy who I'm talking to, it'd be like, hey, you just broke the bro code. Like, what's going on, man? And if it's a young woman or old
Exactly.
woman, I'd still feel some type of way. So, as Samantha rightfully say, I would give that person a side eye because it feels like the level of trust has been broken. So yes, as
Hmm.
a Christian, I more than likely would forgive, but I wouldn't go ahead and tell that specific individual my struggle again.
Got you, got you. Madam, I'm gonna
Can
turn it
I
back over to
can I
you.
just add something real quick? I would also say it's all about intentions. I have learned a lot about it. Everything is intentional. You have to understand that we don't know people personally to like we don't know them as well as we think we know them, no matter how many years. So sometimes some people could just be acting friendly to you, just to some people are monitoring spirits, and I had to learn about that a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
believe Judas is a good example of a monitoring spirit. He told everybody where Jesus was when he was praying. He was monitoring this man. He was watching his move. He was sleeping, and breathing Jesus just to turn on his back. So sometimes people could really be devoted to you and blindside you with just information and trying to get to know you because it could be envious. So we have to be mindful of
Okay.
the difference. So that's all I wanted to add.
Right. Go
Mm.
ahead, madam.
Okay, so to just somewhat reiterate what Kathleen, you made mention of, you know, individuals breaching your trust or violating your confidentiality. Now, would you say the church would be adding to your struggle?
Depends. So if that information is shared and I have many people coming up to me that I didn't even share this information with, and they're asking me questions about it. And so, and this
Mhm.
might be something that I'm like, it's sensitive for me to talk about. It's a lot. Like just sharing it with one person took a lot out of me. And then I have more people asking me questions about it. And I have to keep reliving it if it's a situation. If it's something that makes me uncomfortable, I have to keep thinking about it when I'm trying to
Mhm. Mhm.
move on from it. Yeah, it could definitely make me feel uncomfortable. But I mean, if it depends, right? So if they come up to me and they're like, okay, I'm praying for you. I may not know what's going on, but you're in my thoughts, in my prayers. I feel like that would uplift me. I think it just depends on how they approach the person.
Understood. Okay, Mr. Hamilton, you made mention of going in a state of depression. Um, did you have to seek help when you were going through that little phase?
Well, in that state, well, that was in my teenager years. So, like normally as a teenager, a lot of young people go through different phases and so forth.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think what I did in those years is basically just to do some self-reflection. Of course, reading the Bible, listening to some sermons also can help to add to the recovery state as well. But what I would do is just let it run its course. I know it's a very rough answer, but because the teenager stage is such a very, critical time in a young person's life. For
Mhm.
me personally, I just let it run its course until like around the age of 19 and 20, and then everything started to balance out in my life. So
Mhm.
for me, I just let it run its course.
Okay, because different situation can arise to bring persons in a state of depression because in 2016, that was what happened to me when my mom passed, February 1, 2016. I almost went into depression. I could not sleep at nights, couldn't. So there are different things that will bring us in that state. So I don't know if any of you have ever experienced something like this, a particular thing happened to you, whether it be a death in the family or you've experienced some form of disruption that triggered this depression. So only Japhet has ever experienced this state of depression. Samantha, Kathleen, you have never been? No?
Yes, I will, yeah, you guys are not the only ones. I would say growing up,
Mm.
I'm a grandma's girl. Even though my mommy's a girl, I'm definitely a grandma's girl. And when my grandmother passed the month of my birthday, I wouldn't say I guess it was depression and anger. I was in such a dark place. I was in a really dark place. I wasn't more sad. I was vengeful. I wanted vengeance. I wasn't, I'm telling you right now, it was scary. I just wanted to just arson. Like I just wanted to just nuke the whole world. I lost my grandmother. So I was like, oh yeah, everyone's dying today. You're dying today. I lost it. And I love my grandmother so much. So that was one of the darkest times of my life. And I miss her till this day. And I had to heal. And I think where, besides other situations I've came across, I would say all times it's all about your upbringing. I think I keep talking about the culture so much because when you grew up in a Caribbean household, we don't really have what the American culture has today. We don't really talk about the emotions. We don't have that oh, let me swaddle you and kiss you and love you and this therapy. No, you better depress them dishes. You better depress the kitchen and mop and sweep. So I don't think our skin is thicker because we had to endure things at a young age and we've seen so much. So everybody's like, oh, you're fine from that? I'm like, well, yeah, you're not okay. No, I'm on pace for my medication. I'm like, medication? Like we just don't do that because we didn't really get into those type of feelings. We didn't really praise those things. We didn't get into it. So
Mhm.
I'm happy that people are getting the support that they need, but I just never got into it, and I'm not judging people who do. I just don't do it. I just have more of a survival instincts intake with a little bit of empathy. I'm a little more thicker skinned than some people. So yes, I was depressed, but I got out of it immediately.
Okay, sounds really good. All
Yeah.
right. So, how important is self-care in managing depression?
Well, it's personally, I find it to be extremely important. While I haven't gone through depression, I have had some friends and some family members who have.
Mhm.
And from what I noticed and what they've shared with me is that a lot of times when they go through these episodes, it's like they neglect to take care of themselves. It's as if they don't feel the energy. They don't feel as if they want to go shower, they want to go brush their teeth. It's like they can't. And for me personally, I've always like tried to encourage them and say like it's important because with self-care, when you put in that effort into yourself, even if it's doing something as simple as like painting your nails or just sitting down and just meditating or doing prayer or just reading a book, whatever it could be, it helps you feel better. It can take you out of that state of mind into something better, which is a lot more positive. I
Mhm.
think that a lot of people may not see the importance of self-care, although I think nowadays it's a lot more popular, which is great. But I would say like definitely, even when you're going through those episodes, you have to put aside time just to try to get yourself out of it. Even if it's like setting up an alarm on your phone,
Mhm.
which some people might think like, oh, I have to put an alarm on just to go and brush my teeth. But something like that might just motivate you or might just push you in order to go and do it.
Interesting. Anyone else wants to add?
Yes. By the way, I am a licensed esthetician and phlebotomist, so I could definitely say skincare is so much, it's so important. And I'm so glad this is trending now, like Catherine said, it is. You feel so much better about yourself. And it's okay to feel as we're women, especially we're empathetic by nature. So I think it's okay for us to actually feel we're going through And I never got to a place where I didn't want to not take care of myself when I was in a state of emotion. I was having different emotions. People go through things differently. And as unfortunate sound as that may seem, I don't know what that's like to be in those shoes, but I just want to give grace on that. I'm glad they're doing better. But I would say that it's okay to just take that time for yourself, because even if that person was here today, what would they want to tell you? Like, don't be surrounded looking mopey. You're a good looking person. You're still healthy. You have all of your body parts. Go do something, go to the gym,
Mhm.
still live your life. It's okay. People are gonna come and go. As dog eat dog world, like, you have to live your life as sad as it may be, but you can't be sad forever, because the world is gonna rotate and is gonna continue with or without you. So you just gotta hop on the bus.
Yes, it might sound harsh,
Yeah.
but it's the
Wash your
reality of
face and you
life.
feel good. When you get your hair done, you
Yes.
feel good. When you get your
Mm.
nails done, you feel good. I feel good when I do my skincare routine. You just feel better. You feel like a girl. When you look
Yes.
good, you got a new suit, the boys feel good. Do something that makes you feel fun. Do something. Go
Yes.
outside.
Pampering yourself. It's
Yeah,
worth it.
travel.
Hmm. Okay, Norris, over to you.
I want to get into the area of silence. Now, our topic for the discussion is silent struggles. And so we know what silence is. No one says anything. And what's interesting is that when you read in the book of Psalms, chapter 32, and read verse 3, you find out David said, For when I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all the day long. So David said this. So here we got a leader, a man of God, who he said, when I kept silent. And sometimes we as people, young people, older people, we keep silent. Why do we prefer to keep silent as opposed to just letting everybody know what we are struggling with? If it is so easy, why do we just prefer to keep silent?
I think that some people choose to keep silent primarily because they may not feel like the area that they're in is a safe space. And I think that, there's always this, okay, if I share it with someone, are they going to gossip about it? Or are they really going to try to help me, or are they going to try to use it to tear me down? And
Mm.
there's also, like, as it was mentioned previously, this idea of, you know, it, I was between the thought, but it's just kind of like, okay, is there a safe space? Is there enough, is there confidence in this person? Like, okay, can I trust them to hold on to this information, or are they just gonna run with it? And so,
So, Catherine, let me interject for a moment. So, what I'm hearing from you is that you have to be careful and who you share your struggles with. So, if a person is not willing or can help you, would you share your struggle with that person, or would you rather share your struggle with someone who you know can help you through it?
well, I think that personally, I don't mind sharing my personal struggles with anyone.
Mhm.
Because I always see it as, if what I've gone through can help someone else, and I'm fine with sharing it. I think that
Okay.
one should always feel, it depends on your relationship with this person. Like, if it's a stranger, I'm not gonna go and just share that information because I don't know what your intentions are.
Mhm.
But if I
Right.
know that you have good intentions and that you are willing to help me out in some way, then yeah, I don't mind sharing that information with you.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, Mr. Hamilton. Why do you believe that some people just prefer to keep silent about their struggles as opposed to just telling everyone? If it can help someone else, so why shouldn't I just tell everyone about my struggle?
I think it really varies from persons to persons because some persons are like very introverted. So they like to internalize a lot of stuff. And if they're going through a problem, they rather just keep it to themselves because in their mind, they're thinking, if I keep this to myself, maybe I can fix it on my own. And
Mhm.
then, I mean, if it's a case that they do fix it on their own, maybe they might have the confidence to share it with others once they
Right.
reach over that hump. However, in the midst of the fire when they're going through that struggle, some persons are very introverted and they might just choose to just keep it inside and fix it on their own. That's just how they roll.
Interesting. I'm glad you said that, because I am an extrovert. I mean, I'm just out. But I can tell you one thing about my struggles. I'm very careful in whom I let in my safe space. I'm
Mm.
very careful. And not that I've been hurt, but I've seen other who have been burned. And
Mm.
so I am the kind of person, if I'm going through a struggle, I would prefer to go with that struggle silently than to open up to someone. Now, if I come in contact with someone who has been through that struggle or they know what I'm going through, I would share. I would open up to that person. I'm just not the kind of person who would just open up to any and everybody about what I'm going through. You understand? So I am an extrovert, but when it comes to dealing with personal matters, I am an introvert.
Mm.
But what's interesting is that David kept silent. And when you keep silent, we see in the text that it affects you internally.
Mhm.
It affects you internally. He said his bones waxed, wasted away. So is it better for us to keep these things in? Or is it better for us to just open up to people to try to get so we don't harm ourselves further, whether it be mentally or our medical condition? Go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, well, on that note, I feel like it would be better to reach out to somebody who you feel comfortable with sharing your struggle because the enemy have this thing that he does whereby if we're going through a struggle and we tend to isolate ourselves, that is
Mhm.
like the time where he comes into our ears and just fill our mind with such darkness and stuff. Like, I don't know if y'all ever noticed that, like, if you're going through something, you're very sad and depressed, and you're by yourself, you just get these negative thoughts just flowing through
Yeah.
your mind, and you're wondering where that's coming from. That's the enemy. So,
Mhm.
aligned to what you're saying, it would be better to share it with somebody else, of course, who you feel comfortable with, because the enemy have a way of putting negative thoughts in your mind especially when you're by yourself.
That is true. That is true. Oh man, let me tell you, this conversation, madam, is just getting so good because truth be told, a lot of people, whether you're in the church or outside the church, are struggling
Mhm.
internally. They're holding
Definitely.
all of these things in. And some people may have gotten burned in the past, and that's why they're being silent about it. But what
Exactly.
I'm hearing from the young people is we cannot be silent about our
Mm.
struggles, but we
Mm-mm.
also have to be smart about who we share our struggles with
That is it.
because we don't want to cause more problems on ourselves. Because if you
Mhm.
share it with the wrong person and that information get in the wrong hands and it's shared, you can actually now be trying to go through one struggle, but you're going through another struggle because now so many other people know about it. Okay, so I'm
Exactly.
going to turn it back over to you, madam.
Exactly. And it's a very, very tough thing. And based on what I'm hearing here, it will push persons deeper into silence and even to become more depressed. And it's very sad
Yeah.
because I know these days it is very hard to find persons that you can really confide in. And
Mhm.
when trust is broken, it's a big deal. So I
Yeah,
really
madam,
do
madam,
understand.
madam, yeah. Madam, before you go, let me do a follow-up. I want to address men's ministry and women's ministry. Now, how would you feel, Mr. Hamilton, if you had a struggle? It is better for you to go to a men's ministry and share with a group of guys, and hopefully it'll stay there. And the same thing with a woman. If Samantha or Kathleen, if you have a struggle, is it better for you to go to the women's ministry and share that struggle and it stays there? Give me a take on men's ministry and women's ministry and how these struggles are dealt with.
Um, for somebody who has worked with like both genders when it comes to ministry, I would say men are very logical. They tend to
No, 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 no.
feel.
Hold on a second. Well, wait a minute, hold on. I want you to address women's ministry, and
Oh,
Mr. Hamilton would address men's
I was
ministry
gonna say,
because you
okay.
have a problem. Okay, go
But
ahead.
she's actually sharing who she
I
feels
was saying
more
who would prefer. I
comfortable.
was gonna say every for men, but I would say with
Okay.
women, they are very they're empathetic. I would say they give you a little more insight. They're a little more soft spoken. They give you the easy heart information. They tend to, deliver nicely. They create social groups. They just do like then they no, lack of a better word, the enabling aspects of healing. I think men are more direct. They're gonna say, no, you're wrong. This is how you need to feel better. You're a man. Do what a man should do, because no one's gonna pick you up. And as for women, men are gonna be easy with women. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you're hurting. Now let's figure out how we're gonna do better so you don't feel hurtful again. I think
Okay.
they take more accountability routes, and that's what I like. I like the directness and accountability, and they put in the front of your head like this is what is actually happening. And listening to a man's perspective is probably a very healthy thing because that's what a man is gonna think, and mostly men think the same. So
Okay, so let me go to well, you know what, before I come to Catherine, go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, I think Samantha hit the nail on the head with that. Like, men are logical, and if we have a problem that we're facing, we're gonna like legit just focus on that one problem and just try to fix it. I remember, I think it was 2024 actually. I was confiding some, well, information, some struggles that I was going through last year. Of course, in the men's ministry group, but there was this particular guy, I think he was the head elder. There was just this vibe I was getting from him where I felt so comfortable that the specific issue that I was facing, I went directly to him and I was just happy ever since because he gave me the answers. He told me what the problem was, he told me the solution, and I felt so grateful for confiding in him because it's like I looked
Hmm.
at how he carried himself, his decorum, how he spoke, and I'm like, yeah, this is a very logical guy. Maybe I should go to him with my problem and I'll find a solution. And I did, and it worked out. So we praise the Lord for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Japhet, can I just say it's okay to take the route that you want to take? I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Some people want to have a more soft-spoken route. Everybody's different. It's all about preference. So me, I would prefer a little bit of emotion and more of problem-solving action. Some people just want somebody to just dwell in the pain and just go through it long term. Everybody's different. I think for it all
Okay.
comes with your experiences. So if you want to take more of the problem solving route and just handle it in 30 seconds, some people want to take a little longer. It's totally up to you. But I like that route a little
Okay.
bit more.
All right, Kathleen.
For me, I think it's always good to get two sides. That's why I thankfully have like two different people that I tend to go to whenever I have a certain particular issue. And so I have a male perspective and a female perspective. And based on that, I kind of try to weigh it out to see like, okay, based off of what I'm hearing, okay, am I getting someone does the situation require something that is more direct and straightforward, or does it require something that's a little bit more complex in terms of looking at the emotions? And based on that, that's how I tend to um, go about figuring it out. So I think that, like Samantha was saying, it's important to always, depending on the person, it's always good to get like to kind of look at everything from different perspectives and just always figure out like, okay, what works best for you.
Okay, I like that. And I'm gonna close off with this, madam, before I go to in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 14, it says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in the abundance of counselors, there is safety. And that's found in Proverbs 11, verse 14. So the Bible is encouraging us, God's word is encouraging us to seek counsel from others. Okay? Okay, madam.
Okay, on that note, I I'm going to focus on Psalm 34, verse 18. It says,
Okay.
"The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and
Amen.
saves those who are crushed in spirit." What is your interpretation of this text?
Mm.
The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit.
I think that's a very loaded Bible verse. Well, from my perspective, how I would look at it is that God understands the pains that we're going through. The fact that Jesus came to earth, lived in this sinful world, and went through what we went through, he understands the struggles that we face every single day. It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. So he's able to understand what you're going through, and he's willing to help you through the power of the Holy Spirit. So once we're willing to open our hearts for Him to dwell in our hearts, of course, and start that healing process, I think we'll have a whole lot of success if we go down that route.
Go ahead, Samantha.
Amen.
Oh, yes, that's a very loaded verse. I had to actually dwell on it for a minute. I would say, in response to Mr. Hamilton, also that when, how do I say this? Okay, God God has definitely helped me with my struggles. And with that being said, even though I am going through something and I'm broken or I'm feeling some kind of way about it, I don't think God is just always going to give you what you want. I think He wants you to appreciate the process.
Mhm.
As crazy as that sounds, like, God, I need help, but you're not going to give me help. No. So if I want patience, He's going to put you or give you
Mhm.
lessons for you to learn patience so you can appreciate the journey more. I think appreciating the journey is the success in itself. Because now I'm understanding patience, I'm understanding people because God has placed me and gave me these tests. And now that I've passed it, I am more than grateful that you just giving it to me because I wouldn't have
Mhm.
appreciated it because I didn't know where it came from. And then you're also getting a closer walk with God and you're learning a lot more about myself and other people when you're looking at it through God's eyes, the world looks completely different than how I look at it on my own. Because naturally, people are dedicated to how they see the world, dedicated to how they think of you. And it's not your choice or your business to change it. That's between you and yourself because you know you.
Mhm.
Amen.
Okay. Kathleen?
For me, the way how I interpreted this is that at least for me, sometimes when I go through my different struggles, I tend to, well, now I've changed my approach, but back then I would always try to figure it out on my own. Or I would go to talk to my parents or whoever else might be my mentor, whoever it might be. Now I seek God first before everything because I know that
Mm.
especially when he was on this earth, he's gone through so much. You
Mhm.
know, he of all people knows and understands the pain and suffering of sin, the pain and suffering of
Amen.
stress,
Yes, that's
anxiety,
very
all of
true.
these different things.
Mhm.
So when I'm going through my issue, I go first to prayer and I just express how I feel. And I feel as though God, in this verse, they're trying to say that God is calling you to speak to him, that he understands and that he's there. And as you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, he understands and he's right there with you. And while you may not get an answer right away, but just take that time to just express how you feel with him. He wants to have that type of dialogue with you. He wants to know what you're thinking. I mean, he already knows what you're thinking, but he wants you to express that to him. And so I think that's important. I also think that a lot of times too, whenever I'm going through something and I pray, I tend to feel a lot better afterwards. I don't feel like if I'm upset, if I'm whatever, I don't feel like those type of emotions as strongly as I did before. And I think it's just through that process of just expressing myself and just sharing everything that I'm going through with him, it helps cause like this type of catharsis where it's just like this release. So I think that that's kind of what that verse is stating. It's like, come to him, share your burden, share your struggles with him. He understands and he's going to be there with you, regardless of whatever the outcome will be.
Yes, I
Amen.
love that because trying prayer, that was going to be my next question. Have you tried prayer? And I'm happy to know that, Kathleen, that's your first option. Have any of you ever tried prayer apart from Kathleen?
Yes, I have tried prayer, and I would say it definitely helps when you have I'm not gonna say it's been a last resort, but I'm learning to go to God first because like when you're overwhelmed with so many emotions, I believe that I actually respect Kathleen to get to a point where she runs to God first and she's not overwhelmed by the emotions that she's being affected by with everything that's going on with her.
Mhm.
The fact that you're willing to be traumatized, be level-headed, and go to God, that's very commendable. It took me a while to get there because I would feel and I would just react. Now I'm listening, understanding the situation. Now I'm gonna just pray on it. And you have to also think about it from God's perspective, praying about it, and also, how you would feel. So I would say prayer does help. It did help me. And even though God hasn't dealt with it immediately that we would want him to deal with, the act of trusting God, time will come, time will tell when things happen. So prayer helps. It
Okay.
does. With healing, it helps.
Mhm.
And I'd also say for
Okay.
me, prayer also helps as well. Actually, I would say that prayer is the first thing that I go to whenever I'm facing something that has to deal with that. However, after I'm finished praying, I'm very proactive. So even though I would pray, I'd be like, okay, I'm praying to God with my issues and my problem. Okay, once the prayer is finished, what else can I do to help to, fix the situation that I'm going through? But of course, God also steps in and does his thing. So yes, prayer is the first thing that I go to, and then after I finish praying, then I get proactive.
Awesome.
Can I just say that God, you don't have to pray. Don't take this the wrong way, but I will say that sometimes you don't need to pray because there's times where the Spirit will tell you something. That's God telling me. There's times where I avoid something. It was Jonah, right? When he was swallowed by the big whale, he was just running from Nineveh. He was running from it, just running from it. And then he ended up in the same place that he was trying to avoid. So sometimes you don't really need to pray. I would say that God sees you being very, very stubborn, and he's gonna let you get a couple licks in and sees that you're struggling. And he's gonna intervene. God will intervene when necessary. And there's times where God has talked to me in my dreams. And he's spoken to me in situations while I'm in public. And he's like, and you can feel that presence of God saying, oh, man, so that's right. I'm like, man, I should do it. Even though I don't want to. It's on your mind. And God's telling you to do it, and then you end up doing it, and you do feel better. We're just stubborn.
I know we are.
Yeah, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it.
Okay, so I don't know if Norris have a final question for you guys.
Well, I don't have a final question, but I do want to read something from the Word of God as closing. I like what Kathleen has said about prayer. In the book of First Peter chapter 5, verse 6 and 7, it says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he may exalt you." Verse 7 says, "Casting all your anxieties on him, because he cares for you." So I just want all the young people to know, the older people to know, cast everything you have on God. He cares for you no matter what it is, whatever you're going through. Cast it upon God. Seek God first. And God is going to direct you to some individual in the church or even maybe a counselor or a therapist to assist you with whatever cares, anxieties you may have. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Okay, so Norris actually made mention of 1 Peter 5, verse 7, which was actually in my close, but we're getting to that. All right, so struggling silently can lead to mental health. And this is very common and can happen to anyone, no matter your age, background, or your status. Whether it is a silent struggle someone carries for years or a sudden breakdown, these situations need understanding and support. By learning what a mental health crisis means, recognizing the silent struggles people face, and knowing the different types of crises can better help each other with kindness and care. Healing often starts with noticing the problem. If you are struggling or know someone who is struggling, remember this: asking for help is not a weakness. It definitely isn't a weakness. It is a first step toward getting stronger. And just to reiterate 1 Peter 5, verse 7, which states, cast all, it didn't say some, it says cast all your cares upon the Lord, for he careth for you. Remember, opening up about mental health challenges lead to empowerment and healing. So a big thank you to my co-host, Norris, and my panel of young people for making this episode, not just any other episode, but episode 1 of season 2. Thanks for making it possible. So please like, share, and subscribe. This was Youth in the Loop. See you in the next episode, season 2. Bye for now.